Hey everyone, welcome back to Make Others Successful, a podcast where we aim to make you successful in your workplace by sharing stories, insights, and strategies that we use in our daily work. And hopefully that helps make you successful and you make others successful. Today is a little bit of a weird topic, but we think it's helpful in this point in time of where we are with you as an audience, and we want to talk through it so that we can effectively help you make you successful in the end. So the topic is, we built an audience for these types of things like what you're listening to right now. It pulls in different types of people, different audiences. One of those audiences is the doers, the people who want the technical help, that are just trying to learn how to do something. They're looking at our content as an instructional. They do that thing and they move on. That is effectively as much as we could do for that audience. And then we always sort of tried to straddle this line of, okay, can we do this technical help stuff, but also sprinkle in strategy, or maybe on occasion just have strategic in nature content. And that isn't as clickbaity. It's not as trendy or attractive to people. They might not exactly be Googling for the exact thing that we're talking about. And so that to us always felt like, oh, it has less legs to really do something. And so it created this thing of, I feel like that stuff is worth it, but more people are watching this thing. How do we make this sustainable to the point where it might not bring us a big project, but is there additional income that it can generate for us? So we started to, go ahead.
Yeah, we're brainstorming some ideas. The thing that's popping into my mind is, what is different about how we want to go about this versus, let's say, a training program, right? Or a training curriculum, right?
Yeah, and we've talked about training
and
before.
we've talked about that before. And I think training is useful and valuable, but it doesn't do the same thing as coming alongside someone and walking them through solving a problem.
Our problem stems primarily from the best way to have an impact on an entire organization is to change organizational culture across the organization and impact the organization as a whole, not one person or not one group or one area. It's to change the way the organization thinks about technology, which is why we talk about modern workplace and why we talk about these topics that we have that are pretty broad in nature. We believe strongly in that. I believe strongly in that. If we can get with an organization and they can understand what we're talking about with all of those things at a core level, it's going to transform their business. They're going to be a better business overall. I believe in that very strongly. I think everybody on our team believes in that very strongly. However, that's a big pill to swallow, right? And people don't even understand. It's very difficult to explain to people and make them understand what that potential impact could be, especially when somebody says, I just have this problem I want fixed, right? And so for a while, we struggled with, well, we need to redirect them and we need to solve the root problem, which there's almost always a root problem. But sometimes that root problem isn't worth fixing right now, yet, maybe even ever. Maybe it's not maybe it's not a real problem, financial problem for the business. Maybe it's not a real cultural problem within the business. But we don't have a way or a mechanism by which we can deliver upon that, right? We go quickly from YouTube and free resources to
spend
$10,000-$15,000 engagements, right?
It's a huge jump.
And that's not doing us what we want to do justice. Like, we want to help people, right? If there's a small group of people who need and deserve the $15,000 engagements, the $100,000 engagements, the $250,000, $1 million engagements to transform what they're doing, that's great. But if that's a small group, how do we fill that space in between of people who are coming to us and saying, "Yep, I get what you're saying. I like the way you're thinking about this stuff. but I just need this thing solved, right? And how do we do it in a way that balances the strategy thinking that they probably do need with the doing activity that they also need, right? We get feedback all the time about when people choose not to go with us on a discovery engagement of, it's not direct feedback always, but it's always, you know, so when we get through the discovery, this problem will be solved. No, you'll have a plan to solve the problem. Oh, and it just kind of falls off, right? And
That's okay. Right?
truthfully, I think this is the big point: is it is okay,
Mhm.
even if we believe strongly that it is worth it, and they'll have a better outcome in the long term, and that's been proven out by our track record with other customers. It's okay if that's where they need to start. What's not okay is right now we don't have a good way to deal with that. It turns into, well, this you only want the help to figure out how to share. Well, that's maybe a 2-hour thing to show you how to share this one file this one time. That's not super valuable to me, and it's not super valuable to the person that's going to receive that information, because yes, we're going to fix the problem, the specific problem, but there's a much larger problem that they need to understand, right? Goes back to training. We could offer training as a solution to this problem, right?
Mhm.
Um, we aren't staffed for training. We don't have the people to continually update the training all the time on the very, very vast portfolio of applications and solutions that we're involved in and working in. It's just not something feasible to do at that scale, right? And so we need to kind of find something else, find another way that bridges that gap between the free or really low cost options, guidebooks, those types of things, and these official engagements, full time projects that we're doing.
Can I just say too, it's a little tiring, probably isn't the right word, but I'm going to make it work. It's tiring for me, when someone comes in saying, "Hey, I have this thorn in my side. Can you pull it out?" And us say, "Actually, you don't have that thorn. That's not your real thorn. You
Yeah.
have this big problem." It feels disingenuous sometimes, even though it might be true. And it reminds me of on The Office, where Oscar is known for being the actually guy, and he just spins around in the chair and says, "Actually," like, we don't want to be the actually guy. We're hoping that this content provides the basis for the actually, so that someone is a little bit farther down that path by the time they ring us up.
Yeah.
And that's challenging when we say, "Oh, let's make a YouTube video that will get a bunch of views," and then people click on buttons that they might not need to be clicking on already. So we're figuring out what level of wall we should have and how we should make things accessible to people. The way we first tried to tackle that was like, "Hey, can we come up with a course for Power Apps?" And we've talked about that before. Didn't do super well, so we literally pulled it because, like Matt said, things changed, and then the interface didn't look the same, and we didn't want to spend the time to update it.
Yeah, but honestly, training is not super rewarding in my perspective, from either side, right? If you're receiving the training, great. Maybe you get a certificate at the end of it, but like, what did you really do,
Yeah.
right? That's why I want to figure out how to get connected to the problem in a way that makes sense for everyone involved, right?
Yeah. And so, because that's hard to scale, we said, what would it look like to build a framework of our thinking, right? And we've talked about our guidebook before. If you need help building a more connected team, we have a guidebook that walks through all of our internal communication suggestions and recommendations. But that still can feel just like this is a bunch of information for you to just figure out.
Yeah.
And it might not walk alongside someone through that process. And we're trying to improve that. And we still believe in that, but there's still that, like, I want it to go one step further that we're sort of trying to figure out.
Yeah. So, and the challenge with taking something like the guidebook and marrying it with delivering on somebody's problem is you have all this content that may not seem very relevant to the person who we're working with. That's solved in a lot of our discovery and roadmap initiatives, kickstarts, because we do a lot of interviews and we talk to people about their individual problems. Like we get a litany of all of the problems. And the goal of that is so that we can see all of the problems in a pretty comprehensive way and make recommendations about like what they should be really doing to solve those problems. When you're doing a guidebook, there's not that personal.
Well, they have to make the connection themselves. And
Yeah,
that's not always easy to do.
Correct. And on top of it, if they're like, oh, I wanted to solve this problem, and they get through all of the content and they can't make that connection, it leaves people wanting more. Like not wanting more, like more of our services, but wanting like feeling like, oh, I didn't make the connection. I don't know what to do with this, right? And so we really want to find something that balances taking an individual specific problem that someone has and the content that and the thinking and the mindset around that, and marry them together in a way that is digestible, concise, and delivers something for them on the other side. We want someone who comes to us with a problem with Teams to be able to buy something from us that is not, crazy expensive, that gets them the mindset. And so it's not just us responding to their specific issue, but it's us delivering the mindset and thinking that they should have around topic-based communication, around, how they manage this content and manage this system, this technology with, oh, you're having a problem with how projects are managed within Teams. Okay, here's some recommendations. Let's do a session where we talk about that and get into that in detail, right? So that's really where, like, right now today, that is where what we're looking at. That's what, when we think about the spectrum of services that we're offering, that's an area that we're really focused on trying to figure out and solve and come up with a better way to manage that.
So maybe to relate it to the listener, leave a comment or something, reach out to us. If there has been a time where you're like, I feel like this thing is good, but it doesn't pull out the thorn in my side. If there was something like a workshop or something that facilitated that, and that would be a no-brainer for me, like we would love to know. Like that would be so much validation of.
And I don't need you to put your email address down, and nobody's going to call you and be like, hey, but like it's the validation thing. Like we see this as a potential problem, and we're looking to invest in it. It would be really great to hear from people that they think it's worth it, or that resonates with them about what they were experiencing when they consumed part of our content, right? We've gotten feedback about, I love the video, but I really wanted something more. And then we kind of send them towards the private coaching, and they go, well, that's really good. I got a lot out of the private coaching, but then I have to sign up for another one and another one. We have gotten feedback that kind of leads us down this path, but it would be great, like you said, if anybody listening has felt that, to let us know.
I'm also interested to know if anyone listening can relate to this. Like, have you been in a situation where you want to help people, but you can't find the right exact fit to help them in a way that you feel good about, that both parties feel really good about, in like a trusting way? And I hope with us sharing this, it makes us not feel alone, or maybe helps you not feel alone, and also helps us help you in the end.
That's the goal.
If there's something that we can do, that's the question. We don't want to be in a box pretending we know everything and just picking what's on top of our list and doing that thing without anyone's influence. This is meant to help make others successful. Like, we want that community of people rallying around an idea and pushing something forward, and getting some validation along the way is incredibly helpful